A lovely good morning and welcome to the Camnet Breakfast Show, Thursday edition, Governance, Policy and Politics with me, Patrick Soko, and my co-host, Mako Kwakozi. And today we have a fully packed program. Not that fully packed, but we are organizing and trying to assess what went wrong, did we get a first round exit at the Africa Cup of Nations 2024 being held in Ivory Coast. So, Kozi, how is the morning after watching the game?
It's a great morning. Obviously disappointed with the exit. I think that we had an opportunity. We had two opportunities from my perspective of qualifying to the other round. The first was the Tanzania game. I think we needed to carry the maximum points in that particular game. And the second, yesterday we only needed a draw. That was the last window that we had to qualify to the next round. So they got a goal in the 37th minute with Ziyech. We failed to come back. But one interesting thing, I think I was very, very happy to see Tanga Chaiwa and the way he played yesterday's game. The boy is fantastic. I think we have a future there.
Indeed, he did demonstrate good footballing skills and is someone we can depend on, I think, going forward. We'll be talking about the qualifiers soon because football goes on. After the AFCON, we go back to the World Cup qualifiers. And let's see if at all we can, the Chipobo boys can change our perspective about our national team and be able to qualify to the World Cup, because that is something that Zambians would be happy to see, because as things stand this day, people's faces are gloomy because others are still admitted. You know that every time we are watching Chipolo Polo, there are some prescriptions that are usually advised. Make sure that you check your temperature, your BP, you make sure that you eat before the game. There are all those things, you understand that, And yesterday we threw away the calculator. All those things have been true with us prior to the AFCON, and unfortunately they have to come back home, just like other kind of disappointing countries like Ghana, who were also agonizing. Thanks to the host, because of our loss, they are back in the tournament.
So Ivory Coast were not impressive in their last three games at the tournament. They were actually on their way home until we lost to Morocco. So they are lucky that they've proceeded to the next, but I think they need to improve their game, especially finishing. They were very, very, very poor in front of goal in the last game we watched them.
Indeed. So we get started with the Health Corner, and we'll be talking football later on the Camnet Breakfast Show, and we'll be picking on your perspective and analysis pertaining to yesterday's game. So let's have a Health Corner with Dr. Nakubiana Mufaya. We'll be back. Keep it right here.
Hi, good morning and welcome to the Health Corner here on the Breakfast Show. I am Dr. Nakubena Mfaya. So this week we are talking about tuberculosis, and yesterday we were talking about some of the signs and symptoms of tuberculosis. We say that TB can present as a patient who has a cough for about 2 or more weeks, and also they might have chest pain, fever, and they might also have night sweats as well. So they would be sweating so much at night such that their bodies or their clothes would get wet, and even their beddings. Then the other symptoms are that they would have fatigue and weight loss as well, and depending on which other parts of their body are affected, they would present as such. So if it's the back, they would have back pain. If it's the brain that has been affected, they would have confusion, coma, they might have seizures, and they would also have a headache. So today we'll talk about how is TB diagnosed and treated in the hospital. Now, there are quite a number of tests that can be done, but there's usually just one test that is needed to be able to confirm that you have TB, and we call this AFB culture. So the patient will be asked to produce sputum, preferably the sputum that is produced very early in the morning. So when you produce the sputum and it's taken to the lab, they would need to culture it to see if there's any bacterial growth on that culture. And if there's bacterial growth, then it confirms that indeed you have the bacteria, or you're infected with tuberculosis. So after the confirmation test has been done, then you would need to start treatment. Now, there are some times when people do not have, there are some times when people would have the classic symptoms and they would have to do a chest x-ray. So even when you only have the chest x-ray and the classic symptoms of TB, you can be started on the treatment for TB. So usually on chest x-ray, people with TB would have certain signs that show that someone is infected with TB that would look abnormal on chest x-ray. So depending on what type of chest x-ray it is, there would be some changes on the chest x-ray that would show that someone has been infected with TB. However, for patients who have HIV, sometimes they might not have any chest x-ray changes. So you might not really see any changes on the chest x-ray. And sometimes they might already have some of the symptoms of this TB, so they might be presenting with the chest pain, the coughing, the night sweats, the fevers, and they don't have any chest x-ray changes. They would still be started on TB treatment depending on whether there's a high suspicion of TB, maybe somebody was in contact with somebody else who had TB. So you might be started on this medication based on suspicion, because we don't want you to stay in that period where you are infected, so you can easily transmit the infection to other people. So we want to be able to treat it as soon as possible. But they would still be required to send some samples to the lab for culture to be able to confirm whether there is TB or not. So there's also what we call Gene Expert. Gene Expert is a test that can be done to check if you have TB, and if the Gene Expert comes out positive, also you would need to be started on the treatment for TB. There's also what we call urine TB lump. TB lump can be done very easily, and it can also show that you have TB, even though it's not a very reliable marker, because it might be a false positive if the results are positive, because there are other microbacterium that can be also that can show on the urine TB lump. So urine TB lump is not very reliable. But if you do a Gene Expert and it's positive, then you are supposed to be started on TB medication, and you still need to do a culture to confirm the diagnosis, because it's only on culture that we can be able to tell that indeed you have TB when the bacteria grows in the lab on the culture. So these are ways that TB can be diagnosed, and these are ways that TB can be seen, whether it's a Gene Expert or a chest x-ray, or just from the symptoms that you are presenting with, there's high suspicion that you might be having TB. Now, how is TB treated? So depending on whether it's a new case or a relapse, you would be treated differently. And also depending on which part of the body is affected, you'll be treated as such. So usually the treatment is a 6-month course. So you'll be given treatment for about six months. And during these 6 months, you'll be given some tablets that you have to be taking. So usually in the first 2 months, you take about 4 or 5 tablets, and in the other 4 months, you take less tablets, which are antibacterial medications, and also some vitamins to be able to counteract some of the side effects of these medications. Then also, if you have TB of the brain, for example, you would need to take this medication for even a longer period, even up to 1 year, because of the way the brain is structured. So depending on where it is, you'll be given a time frame that you need to take this medications. Sometimes it might just be 9 months. If it's other organs that are affected, like the kidneys, you might just need to take the medication for about 9 months. So the time period is very long, and so you need to be able to adhere to these medications. And sometimes if you're having trouble or problems adhering to these medications, you can always talk to your care providers, and they would be able to assist you to be taking these medications. So they might have somebody that can be checking on you to make sure that you are taking your medications correctly and at the right time, and you're adhering every day to taking these medications. So these are ways that TB can be treated, and we only have certain drugs that we use for TB. So it's not just all the antibiotics or any antibiotic that can be used for TB. There are specific types of antibiotics that are used for TB. And so if you have TB, make sure you seek treatment so that you can get the right type of medications to use. Then also for people that might have a relapse of TB, they might be having multi-drug resistant TB. So this TB has become resistant to the medications that we use for TB. And so we usually start them on a certain other types of medications that we have specifically been given for multi-drug resistant TB. So if you have multi-drug resistant TB, you can be given other medications, but first you need to be confirmed that you actually have resistant TB and just be started on these medications. So I do hope you have learned something. Make sure that you seek treatment. If you know somebody who has HIV, if you're living with somebody who has other risk factors like diabetes and they're having these symptoms, make sure you take them early to the hospital so that they can be diagnosed early and treated early and prevent other people from getting infected as well. So make sure that you also watch, if you have missed any other episodes on this Health Corner, make sure you watch on my YouTube channel, which is Dr. Nakubena Mfaya, or if you have any questions, you can reach out to me on my Facebook page, which is Dr. Nakubena Mfaya, and make sure that you subscribe to my channel as well on YouTube if you haven't subscribed as yet. I'll see you again tomorrow. Make sure that you stay healthy and stay blessed.
Thank you for staying with us. That was the Health Corner with Dr. Nakubena Mfaya. They are talking about tuberculosis, TB, which we have been looking at this week. And moving on the program, let's have a look at our next segment, which is where we get to know how the kwacha is performing on the money market. So now let's see if at all we are making any tangible or significant progress. But I know that we haven't been on a reduction trajectory, but rather on an upward trajectory pertaining to how the kwacha has been. The kwacha hasn't been performing as expected against other major convertibles. As you can see on the display there, we have $1 buying at 26 kwacha, 44 ngwe, and selling at 26 kwacha, 96 ngwe, and it is going towards because it is going towards 27, and we have the euro buying at 28 kwacha, 85 ngwe, and selling at 29 kwacha, 42 ngwe. The South African rand is buying at 1 kwacha, 41 ngwe, and selling at 1 kwacha, 43 ngwe. The Great British Pound is buying at 33 kwacha, 73 ngwe, and selling at 34 kwacha, 40 ngwe. So those are your money market that's the finance institution that we monitor, updated this morning, the 23rd of January 2024 at 07:32, and you can see that the kwacha is not showing any signs of stability. It continues to depreciate, and that if that reflects on how the fuel pump price will be well, I can guarantee you that it will be something bad news. The bearer of the bad news of the month will be back in the name of the Energy Regulation Board, ERB, Kozi. You can't just be bringing bad news every time you want to upset people.
Yes, and the past 2 months they have
maintained,
tried to not to be bearers of bad news by trying to maintain the price.
But they maintained the previous bad news.
Yes. they've tried not to worsen.
Yeah.
But speaking of the kwacha, yesterday you and I were speaking to somebody who told us that the kwacha is one of the worst performing currencies in the world. It is only doing better than the Argentine peso. So we have always spoken about putting in place measures that are going to cushion the performance of the kwacha as things stand. You have already noticed that obviously we only have, is it 6-7 days going into 5 or 6 days going into the day of ERB with bad news. So if they come and tell us any increase, to obviously go to 30 or above. Now 100 kwacha will get you 3 liters. It gets us 3 liters even now. And I see the increase being significant because we have been at 29 per liter from the time the kwacha was at 22. Now the kwacha is at 26, and if you see the difference, then the increase will be very, very noticeable.
Indeed, you are right there. And let's just have a look at that same story pertaining to the kwacha that we had yesterday. And this is a story where the opposition Socialist Party has urged the United Party for National Development Administration to apologize for and fulfill the unfulfilled promise of strengthening and stabilizing the kwacha. Party Deputy Secretary General Antonio Mwanza is disappointed that the kwacha is currently trading beyond 26 kwacha against $1 He has predicted that in the next two weeks, the exchange rate may hit, in the next 2 months rather, the exchange rate may hit 30 kwacha against $1. So let's have a look at this story and we'll be back on the other side. Keep it on Camnet. Has continued to be under severe pressure, trading beyond 26 kwacha against $1. And in economic terms, this also means that the country is not earning more dollars through trade.
What we have right now is very limited and thin supply of dollar in the market. That's the reason why we are having kwacha having that effect of losing.
Making enhanced production a necessity that is instrumental in strengthening the local currency. The stabilization of operations at Mopani and Konkola copper mines is among interventions expected to contribute to a positive economic outlook, but government critics remain doubtful, and Socialist Party Deputy Secretary General Antonio Mwanza is disappointed that the kwacha has continued to depreciate despite the current administration assuring a stable currency.
So what we need to do now is, first of all, President Hakainde Hichilema must apologize to the people of Zambia that when he was making those promises, he didn't know what he was talking about because he has never been in government. It is now that he's in government and he has failed terribly to deal with the issues affecting the Zambian people. Remember that he had a press briefing which had 4 hours 26 minutes. And in that press briefing, he didn't tell the Zambian people what he would do for them to change the economic sufferings for 2024. We want to make it clear to the Zambian people that 2024 will be harder than 2023. That the prices of milling, sugar, food, transport, it will continue to increase.
Mr. Mwanza tells Camnet News that there's no substitute for addressing the kwacha volatility apart from increasing production.
The government doesn't have a solution to the high inflation. They don't have a solution to the collapse of the kwacha. The mathematics in economics is very simple. If you want the kwacha to gain value, the simple thing to do is to increase production. The more you produce, the more you export, the more foreign exchange you have. It's an issue of demand and supply. We have less dollars in the market because we are not producing anything as a country.
However, Minister of Finance and National Planning, Dr. Stumbeko Musokotwane, has been assuring that the economy will be back on track for the year 2024.
Obviously, also hopeful that the economic performance in 2024, we should see improvements.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News. Well, there you have it. So divergent views continue to come pertaining to the local currency, the kwacha, that continues to depreciate against other major convertibles. That was the Socialist Party also highlighting their perspective pertaining to the kwacha, where they are predicting that it may hit as high as 30 kwacha if no right interventions are put in place. However, we can still bet on the Minister of Finance's perspective and optimism that the country's economy will soon be able to bounce back owing to interventions being put in place, especially in the mining sector. So we can only hope for the best, because as things stand, the kwacha continues to undermine various other economic factors, because at the end of the day, Zambia being an import country, it means that we have to spend more money to import products. So we hope that this will be rectified, and the only substitute, as said by various players we have spoken to, is that the only key driver to this is actually production.
Yeah, so we really need to boost our manufacturing sector in this country, and we have to be a little bit more productive. There has been a lot of talk as regards car battery manufacturing. I think that's a direction to take if we need to help the economy of the country. And also, I think that there is need now as a country to begin to look at reducing on the export of raw copper. I think we need, I mean, we have close ties with China. We should be heading into a direction where we begin to export finished products.
Indeed, you are right, because when you mention that that we need to be exporting our minerals, we need to add value to our minerals. That is an important point you bring out, because look, we need to go and assess what do they use this copper for when they import it. What are the main things they are manufacturing? So we can now lobby for an investor who can be able to replicate such a plant in Zambia.
And since we have been exporting this much of this copper to China, I think there's a need to send maybe a team of experts to go and see how we can start adding value to our copper in the country.
Yes, exactly. So we have companies like Zamefa who are producing cables, but we need to go beyond that. We need to do more with our copper. You know, making toys for kids, making a lot of things, and infrastructure largely is driven by this same copper. You know, no wonder these developed countries still have to depend on this copper that is mined in this country. But however, the other concern that comes on the picture cause is as a country, to what extent have we utilized our copper to foster development? Because if you go to the copper mining regions, we haven't seen so much in terms of development. They're still lagging when it comes to development. So my anticipation was that those areas or communities needed to be highly developed, even better than Lusaka. But if you see the way we spend our resources again from the mining sector, they're not adequately representing what we are exporting in terms of at the level we should be. You understand? We're talking about most rural parts of Zambia. For example, a rural health center, talking about having a pit latrine, not a flushable toilet. When we were hosting the member of parliament for Petauke Central, Emmanuel Banda, because I was telling me about we need to build the pit latrine toilets, and I was like, but why? Because a facility in Lusaka, because you cannot find a pit latrine. Why? So this is also point to development inequalities. And why should we be doing things that are outdated, like building pit latrines? You know that pit latrines are also behind the quarry we are facing here in Lusaka. Because most of our communities, especially unplanned settlements, are on pit latrines, and the likelihood of water contamination has been high, because sometimes during the rainy season we see the contamination of these fecal matter and surface water through rainwater. So we have these challenges because of that. But shouldn't we be forward thinking to avoid such challenges in other areas that are developing now? I think that's why history exists, to help us build a positive future. So we need to be forward thinking. So for me, I think, like you say, value addition is going to be key. But you know, when we had another interview at the minister at the Mulungushi International Conference Center, where with the Minister of Finance, the minister, you know, he was challenged by the former Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry under the Patriotic Fund administration, Bob Switchinger, that you need to add value to copper and discourage the exploitation of minerals in their raw form. He challenged the minister further that even if you export or increase the tonnage to 3 million metric tons, you will not be able to raise more money or enough revenue that we can talk about that can help us achieve maximum development as a country. But to the contrary, you know what the minister said? He was comfortable with exporting local raw copper, and he also suggested that that can be achieved in the long run, but as long as we're managing to increase the tonnage of exports, we'll still be able to be well off as a country. There was a bit of complacency. So that is something that cause for concern, because if we're going to support our culture or support our economy, we need to export more than we are importing. But the opposite is true at the moment. So, and we also look at food. We are importing more agricultural based food that are coming through our chain stores. So we have been turned into like a wholesale, you understand? Other countries are manufacturing, then there is a market where to sell these products, and that market is called Zambia. So now, but how do we change those aspects? I think that those are things that are going to help us in the long run to be able to stabilize our economy.
It's interesting because you see one of the major contributors to our GDP is mining. We, as a country, we depend on mining. I know there's a stock of diversification, but currently the major contributor to this economy is mining. So I think as a country we need to maximize our benefits from this particular sector. So I think there's need to move fast on KCM and Mopan. There's need to operationalize those mines as quick as possible. We really need to see, and the tax holiday, I think, on the mines.
It wasn't necessary, I think so. The changing of that tax regime has also affected the kwacha, because ZRI did report that they're not receiving more dollars from the mining sector, because the mining sector used to contribute quite a significant portion of dollars, but at the moment, as things stand, they haven't been able to realize more profits. And given the fact that Mopan and KCM haven't been operating at optimum level, that has also compounded the problem. Unless these two mines also start operating viably, and we are going to see a little bit of progress. But these so-called tax incentives that the mining sector is getting, I don't think they are necessary. But however, the government has also has its own justification. The justification is that if that tax regime is maintained and is maintained for a while, the idea also is to encourage the mining sector to invest. But at the moment, the past 2 years, we haven't seen that. They're not injecting as enough capital as possible to be able to support our economy. So that has been affecting us as a country.
You mentioned another very important aspect of importing agricultural products. Now we are importing millet from South Africa. Zambia is said to have one of the best climatic and conditions for agricultural activities, and to be a country that will start importing a product like millet, I think we should be we should be working at being the food basket of the region, considering that we house most of the water bodies in this particular region.
Yes.
Climatic conditions are favorable. It's an
this is an interesting conversation, and you give me an idea when you say that, because look, we saw that the National Biosafety Authority approved about 60 applications for the importation of GMOs, or food that may contain GMOs, and among that was the aspect of millet. I don't think the importation of millet would require less tonnage. So the importation of millet or GMO millet that is coming and destined for the Republic of Congo, that is also creating tension on our kwacha. Do you know what is happening? Because for exporters to go and import goods, they need the dollar, so they will get the dollar that is on the market to go and purchase. You get a sense. So now they are purchasing now. So the one that we can't see a stability in our dollar. So now, like you are saying, we are now importing a common commodity like millet that has been always available in this country most of the times, and we are now forced to import, and that importation is equally affecting us. The other aspect is also the importation of electricity from other countries. That is also affecting us, because we are still importing electricity, because we are still paying for electricity. And how do you pay that? You have to use dollars, you see. So now, as a result, now there is less supply of dollars. We have fewer dollars in the economy. So now, how do we get more dollars into our economy? It's through exports, so that other companies or other countries can give us those dollars. And that is why we are where we are at the moment. So like you mentioned, millet, something like millet is something that we shouldn't be importing. And when we look at also fertilizer also tends to distort our currency when we are importing this fertilizer, because it comes in huge quantities, because in terms of the tonnages that are expected for the country to go towards the farmers input support program. So now that we have local fertilizer manufacturing companies, I think all they need is the right support, so that we should be able to make sure that we buy from the local market and be able to export to other countries, because the companies have the capacity to export to the region, and they are exporting. But the key is about enhancing the tonnage at which they are exporting. You understand, so that we get more dollars into the economy, so that us on the other side, we should stop spending more money towards the importation of fertilizer. That is another key component. And it's very soon, because again we'll be going back on the market to look for fertilizer for the 2023-2024 for the 2024-2025 farming season. So now, how do we go around those issues? It's something that we need to look at as a country seriously, because it will go a long way towards us stabilizing the local currency.
Last week, I was listening to an online class. So this person, one of my colleagues here, actually, we were in the car, and he was listening to this online class. He was in class, actually. So the lecturer was talking to the class, and then he reached a point where he asked the class and said,
"You were illegally getting education?"
"Yes, sir." And he said, whatever I was talking about, I wasn't in that particular class, but I happened to be listening when he said, "Can anybody tell me what are some of the goods that Zambia exports?" And then the class was quiet. He said, apart from COP, and then the class was quiet. Nobody was responding. So I said, what sort of a class is this? But when I sat and asked myself, I said, yes, what do we export as a country? Then one said maize, the other one said electricity, and then I sat down and then I asked myself, yes, as a country, what really do we export? When you sit down and think like that, there's nothing really, nothing apart from coal. There's nothing really that we export.
We are not
so
doing
we are a consuming
country.
As you said, we are like a supermarket where whatever you have, where to Zambia,
people are buying.
Take to Zambia. So we don't have people coming to buy what we have, leaving the dollar in the country. It's always us buying. I think that is what is straining our economy.
Indeed, and we've spoken at this at length, and let's also have a look at these other two stories where Zambia Center for Inter-Party Dialogue has commended the political parties for peaceful campaigns that have characterized the Mayembe ward by-election in Shiwangandu. Organization Executive Director Dolin Kawe says that the center is hopeful that a peaceful environment exhibited during the campaign period will continue in future by-election to enhance Zambia's democratic credentials. Ms. Kawe has since called on all political parties to respect the rule of law and take all necessary measures to protect civilians, safeguard the public infrastructure in areas where by-elections are taking place. And another story is where the House of Chiefs has expressed concern with the growing tendency of traditional leaders not residing within their chiefdoms, as some opt to live in cities like Lusaka. The House of Chiefs chairperson, His Royal Highness Dr. Chief Chisunga, says the gesture to reside outside chiefdoms leaves the leadership vacuum, prompting some individuals to take advantage of the absenteeism of the chief to create instability for the chieftaincy. Meanwhile, His Royal Highness Chief Chisunga has commended the government for embarking on a number of developmental projects to improve the livelihoods of citizens. Let's have a look at these two stories, and we'll be back on the other side. Keep it on Camnet.
The idea, we would like to commend political parties for the peaceful campaigns that characterized Mayembe by-election in Shiwangandu district. We are hopeful that this peaceful environment exhibited during the campaign period will continue in future by-elections and will enrich Zambia's democratic credentials. As a center, we remain committed to promoting peace and stability in the country, and we wish to call on all political parties to continuously engage in dialogue for peaceful resolution of disputes whenever they arise. We further call on political parties to respect the rule of law and to take all the necessary measures to protect civilians, as well as safeguarding public infrastructure in areas where by-elections are taking place. And so we are confident that the people of Mayembe have exercised their democratic right to vote.
The House of Chiefs has noted with concern the rising number of chiefs not presiding within their chiefdoms. Chieftains, like any other institution, is governed by rules and regulations. Traditionally, these rules and regulations dictate that a chief must reside within his or her chiefdom. The Chiefs Act, Section 11, Clause 1, provides the function of a chief. Among others, the presentation of public peace in the chiefdom. It is therefore expected that our traditional leaders should reside within the chiefdoms in order to perform these functions effectively. The chief should not neglect their obligations by residing outside their chiefdoms, as this is contributing to the increased number of chiefdom, wrangles, and disorderly current obtaining in chiefdoms across the country. A chief must provide leadership to his or her people on a daily basis. He or she is likely between government and the other partners providing service to the subjects. Therefore, residing outside the chiefdom leaves leadership vacuum, which some individuals can take advantage of the create instability for the chieftains.
There you have it. That was Chief Chisunka there, urging traditional leaders to reside within their chiefdoms. And and the other story where it was about by-elections, because the story about chiefdom, how can you be having a chiefdom when you don't reside there? That's a tendency for members of parliament.
Yeah, I think so. I think that
they are getting it from members of parliament.
This is a discussion we should be having with members of parliament that are not living in their constituencies, not traditionally. Just how does a traditional leader not reside?
Then I think you are not making decisions in the interest of the people. And you know what? I do not agree if you are a member of parliament. I think you should come from the same community. You shouldn't be. But you know, in Lusaka, you know what happens? Usually all the MPs.
But I don't agree with you. Look, if you stay here, you were born in Chawama, raised in Chawama, and you just wake up and say, I want to stand in Chasefu because that's where my village is. What do you know about Chasefu? What are the challenges?
But those are the problems, Kai.
What do you mean?
But those are the problems. You shouldn't. Why shouldn't you stand in Chawama? Why do you want to go to Chasefu?
That's what I'm saying.
So if you want to go to Chasefu, go and stay. Be part of Chasefu.
Be part of Chasefu. Understand the problems of Chasefu. Be a member of that particular.
You should be a Chasefuian.
Yes, you should be a Chasefuian. For you to represent the people of Chasefu.
Yes.
You don't just wake up from
yes, that's why I see there's a mismatch cause.
Yes.
Because honestly, if you are passing there every day, you'll be seeing to say, no, something must be done
but
every day.
It goes even to the electorates themselves. There's no way somebody from Kablonga would come to Chasefu and say, you know that because sometimes I'm unfair because I ask difficult questions to my colleagues, and I'm going to ask you. We should ask Elias. I ask difficult questions. I'm going to ask you where does your MP stay? I don't know.
But your assumption.
My assumption what I know, I'm in Chawam. And what I know is that our MP is not residing with us in the constituency.
Yeah.
So, as the electorates, let's vote for people that we know, people that we've stayed with. Look, if we will stand up today and say, I want to stand as member of parliament for Chawama, people will say, who is Patrick? Patrick is that gentleman who stays. You mean that guy who you used to, you mean that? They know it. Not from somebody from Livingston just comes and says, my father was born here. My father was chairman of WC or DC in Chawama. My father was well known until he retired. He went to Livingston. That's where I was born. And now I want to be. No ways. Come on, guys.
That's what the problem is. Yeah. And now it is going to chiefdoms. No, we won't have a country to run like that.
No,
because chiefdoms are custodians of the land. Chiefdoms are custodians over the rules, norms, and customs of the society. So in that society, if you are the chief or an absentee chief, at what extent are you influencing the local tradition?
If you and me now found some money and we went to Shangombo or to Chasefu, let's use Chasefu because we're talking about, And went to Chasef and said, no, we want to bring an investment here in Chasef. Let's go and see the chief. In
fact, you needed to just go. Are you getting the sense? Eh?
Yeah,
just not
you could have called. Maybe we could have arranged that you meet right there.
No, this tendency is unbecoming. No, we need to be serious, because
no, I think that is.
I think that's where we have gaps. Where now the chief comes, the headmen have finished the entire land. Now you see.
Yes. How can you just take care of your people? How can you oversee your chiefdom or via remote control on the phone?
Exactly.
No, there are some people that have come. They are saying they are from Germany. They want to put up a plant. Let them come back to Lusaka. They will find. Let's meet at the Intercontinental Hotel.
That's where then we are going wrong there. So what we do is that now the phone lines are open in case you want to join the conversation, or dear viewers, you are free to do so. Remember that we are also talking about the way forward for the Chipolo Polo boys now that we have been booted out of the AFCON. What next for the team? How do you rate the performance of our national team at the just ended AFCON? What are some of the key points or where we can improve? Or who are the players that have stand out for you, who have stood out for you in terms of performance? We want to get your perspective. You can also comment on the stories that we are looking at this morning. We are happy to get your views right now here on the Camnet Breakfast Show, Thursday edition, governance, policy and politics. Today we also have added a component of sports in case you want to give us that contribution pertaining to our team, how we performed. We'll be looking at that a little later, but first of all, let's zoom in some of the stories that were making the headlines.
Some of the stories that are making the headlines this morning: the Federation of Free Trade Unions of Zambia, FFTUZ, has called on government to come out with stringent measures that will cushion the suffering of the majority Zambians amidst the harsh economic conditions. Now, speaking at a media briefing in Lusaka yesterday, FFTUZ President Mayowa Kabisa says the current economic challenges that the country is faced with have increased the levels of poverty amongst the citizens. Now, Mr. Kabisa says human development has been greatly affected, hence the need for social safety nets. Now, another story that we are zooming in this morning says the Council of Churches in Zambia, CCZ, has directed all its member congregations to worship services of less than 2 hours in light of the cholera outbreak. The CCZ General Secretary Emmanuel Chikoya has stressed that the cholera outbreak is attributed to poor hygiene and not spiritual attacks.
Before we go to those stories, because we have a caller.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Your name and where you're calling us from?
This is Justin Mweto.
Justin Mwetwa, thank you very much for calling. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Please go ahead.
I'll tell you the issue of the chief not residing the harassment. I think it's not a good thing. Both as a reader, you need to have an idea on what your chiefdom is going through. And like you are a visitor. When you are a visitor at your home, you can't know what your challenges are. And it's also, if you look at the traditions now, I think there is erosion of norms, because the chiefs now are like twins in their chiefdom. It's difficult to make informed decisions. Generally, traditionally, a lot of things have gone wrong. There are certain ethics and norms which you are supposed to hold on to, but even the chief himself do not have an idea what's gone wrong because of not residing in those areas. Then second, we have a national team. We have the national team. I feel the team has got material players, but maybe that's a better team. There's no planning on the coaching side. If you look at last game we had last tonight, I think we have the material, but you can have the material. If you don't know what to do with your material, everything goes to waste. Exactly. You can have the resources. If you don't know how to use them, you cannot go anywhere. So that's what we are lacking. I think the technical part of the site and the coaching planning, would have done better from the first game to the last game, and would not even needed like calculators to qualify. Thank you so much.
Gwete.
Mwakova.
Natolipantu kuti vausova hive kuti ngunowa ngoti vandika rino. Thank you very much for coming through.
Okay, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. Thanks very much. So before we did receive that call, we were looking at some of the stories that we are zooming in this particular morning, and the story we were looking at was the story of the Council of Churches, and
yes, it's an interesting story from the Council of Churches. So we zoom in those stories, Cozy. Then we continue to talk to our viewers, because this other interesting story where the House of Chiefs is concerned that some chiefs are not residing in their palaces, and that is creating a lot of distortions and anomalies in governance structures, and also a contributing factor to succession disputes.
I like what Justin said. He says there are a lot of norms that are going wrong in these chiefdoms where we stay. And as chiefs, you must be there to see what is happening. It is important. You can't be an absentee father, as you put it. Hope to have a...
you raise your children very uprightly when you haven't you're not even contributing.
Sure.
Yeah, so let's have a look at these other set of stories, and when we get back, we'll continue to interact with you, our dear viewers. Want to hear your perspectives. Should chiefs continue to reside in cities, neglecting their chiefdoms? Another story that has been interesting, and we are all looking at the way forward for the Chiporoporo boys. What should we focus on? I like the fact that our previous caller did make an analysis pertaining to this, just like you had told me in the background. We have the material, but it's like we don't know how to apply to use it. You know, you may have something, because if you don't know how to use it, it goes down.
Sure.
You should know how to use what you have. If you don't know, because I can assure you, you are headed nowhere.
We played 3 games, and we had 3 different teams in all those 3 games. So we have the quality, we have the material. The only thing we need to do now is to identify how we can use this quality that we have.
Yes.
Materials we have.
And it's about playing. What sort of football do we play?
Yes, and also we should not play names anymore.
Do you know how Spain plays? It's like you are watching Barcelona.
Sure.
It does not play like you are watching Madrid. You understand that, huh?
Let's see if we can pick another call. We have a caller on the line. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning, your name and where you're calling us from?
My name is Livingston.
Please go ahead, sir, and give us your contributions.
Yes, hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, about the game that we played yesterday. Yes. Well, yesterday. The only thing that I found out was the second was the goalkeeping. I don't know why they left out the Sabata.
Okay.
Because this goalkeeper was backing the ball. That was a mistake. So people they capitalized on that one. Yes. So the goalkeeping problem. Why did they really lose that?
Is the question that he's asking. Why?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming through. We really do appreciate your contribution. Thank you very much.
So let's do away with the stories we talk to our analysts, Cozy. So let's start with the story where the Council of Churches is telling the church to do the right thing and make sure that they congregate for 2 hours, as well as make sure that they afford all the good sanitation that is required for them to be able to congregate as a church. Sanitation is important, especially this time of the cholera pandemic. So let's get to zoom in these stories. When we are back, we are strictly talking Zambia and those stories that we are zooming in.
As well as clean and safe drinking water. We strictly urge all members to avoid handshakes, hugs, and communal foods. Provide adequate hand washing facilities and hand sanitizers at church entry and exit points. Individual members should be encouraged to get their own sanitizers for use during this period. Let's take personal responsibility for our welfare and make issues of hygiene a lifestyle and not a one-off event, always in crisis responses like the rain season. We encourage all congregations within our member churches to conduct worship services within the period of 2 hours, and encourage people to disperse and return to their homes without idling and mingling around. We urge all clergy and lay preachers to conduct contextual Bible studies and preach contextual sermons that will help sensitize congregants to change their attitudes and mindsets regarding public and personal hygiene, and thus we hope will contribute to cholera prevention and ending the spread of cholera. It's much less costly to prevent than to cure cholera. It is a huge cost to the immediate family, to the government, and all other sectors. We encourage all members and general citizenry to take advantage of an ongoing cholera vaccination campaign and get vaccinated against cholera. Remember, prevention is better than cure. We implore all stakeholders, with a special plea to politicians, to rise above the constraints of politics and join hands in the fight against cholera. This is a time for unity and shared responsibility.
Zambia's economic outlook for the year 2024 is set to present a positive growth outlook projected at above 4%. However, the current state of affairs indicates persistent socio-economic challenges, which include low diversification of the economy, high unemployment levels, and high incidences of poverty. According to the Zambia Poverty Analysis Report, about 48% of the population is grappling with extreme poverty. With these continued economic challenges that the country has been grappling with, several stakeholders have continued to give advice to government on how the situation can be improved. The Federation of Free Trade Unions of Zambia, FF2UZ, says the situation has increased levels of poverty among citizens. Speaking at a media briefing in Lusaka, FF2UZ President Muyawa Kabisa says the Federation expects to see a reduction in the cost of living.
The Federation's expectation, therefore, is to see a reduction in the cost of living, and that any positive trend in the growth of our economy must be anchored on sustainable interventions. The government must therefore guard against food insecurity by putting in place measures that will ensure steady flow of maize to the millers and affordable milling meal to the people. We implore government to come up with measures to cushion the vulnerable in our country against the impact of high prices of milling meal on access to our staple food.
And Mr. Kabisa further calls on government to heighten the fight against corruption and financial crimes.
The Federation appreciates our government's economic reconstruction agenda. However, we hold the view that financial crimes and corruption are a threat to all these good efforts. We can vouch as a federation that whatever gains our economy may register in the year 2024 and beyond, if the fight against corruption and financial crimes is not heightened, all these gains shall be eroded. We commend the government for its expressed will to fight corruption and financial crimes. This is what a responsible government must do, as these vices punch big holes in the assets of most countries.
Meanwhile, the Federation President has called for continued peace and unity as the country is faced with the economic challenges.
As our country faces these challenges, unity among all of us is cardinal. Years ago, the harmony and unity among the people of Zambia was highly acclaimed by those that came in from other countries as visitors or those that came in as business persons. However, we seem to be losing it as a country. Tribalism and nepotism are eating the very core of our unity as a people. This cancer, ladies and gentlemen, seems to be spreading. If not stopped, every citizen and every system of government shall be affected. And the end result is that lawlessness shall become the order of the day.
Marco Kwakozi reporting for Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
Thank you very much. So those are some of the stories that we are zooming in. Those are the stories that you can call us and give us your thoughts on. And also remember that we are looking at a story where traditional leaders are leaving their chiefdoms to live in Lusaka or in other cities. And that is also another story that we are looking at. And you can call us on the numbers that are on your screens and give us your thoughts. And we're also looking at Zambia's performance at the AFCON after their elimination yesterday following that 1-0 loss to Morocco. In that game, we only needed a draw in order for us to continue as best losers of that particular group. So those are some of the topics that we are looking at. So you can call us on the numbers that are on your screens and give us your thoughts as we move on. You can also go to our social media page, which is Camnet TV, and leave your contributions on this particular broadcast. So you go to that particular page, like it, and also share it. Invite people to like it also, and then leave your comments, and then we'll be more than happy to see what you think about what we are discussing this beautiful Thursday morning. Patrick.
Indeed, we would want to get your perspective regarding how you think we should move forward after we've been put out in the AFCON 2024. However, we are also looking at other stories that are making the headlines, and you are able to also give us your comments and contribution pertaining to those stories, and we'll be glad to hear from you, our dear viewers, wherever you may be. Remember that it's about exchange of opinions and ideas, and we should progress from there. And talking about football, Kozi, the other previous caller suggested that the goalkeeper was not the right one. We only considered 3 goals, and looking at that game, it would have been many. What's your take?
Mulenga is a debutant. This is the first time that he's appearing at the tournament, and looking at his performance personally, I think that he was not bad at all. He did well. He put big saves in big moments. Yesterday we could have considered about 3-4 goals. At one time he saved, I think, one-on-one with one of the Moroccan strikers, and he didn't look like a debutant. He accounted for himself very well. However, people may think other people have other ideas about his performance, but personally, I think that he accounted for himself very, very well at this particular tournament, conceding 2 goals in a big tournament. Look at how the Congolese were pressuring our defense. He didn't crack down. Look at how Morocco were pressuring our defense. Also, he stood firm. So to say he is not the right goalkeeper based on what? I think he tried his best. His ball distribution was good. His positioning was good. That ball that he parried, the Moroccan goal, the ball he parried was a difficult ball, because there were also even defenders that were coming in to try and block the ball, and he went. There was a striker coming to connect also and finish that ball, and he went in and tried and punched the ball, and unfortunately it landed in the wrong legs, and who is this Moroccan? He just finished the ball right in front of goal. There's nothing much that can be done, and I think that going forward we need to start to build a team around people that show the heart to fight for the country. Look at how Kennedy Msonda gave it his all yesterday when he was interested. That was his first start at that particular tournament, and he didn't show any signs of being a first time starter in a huge tournament like AFCON. We'll continue with our thoughts later on. We have a caller on the line. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Your name and where you are calling us from? And
I'm calling from Kitty.
Can you reduce the volume on your TV set, madam, and go ahead?
I'm calling from Kitty.
Kindly reduce the volume on your TV set.
My comment yesterday's game wasn't good. Yesterday's game wasn't good.
Okay, so we are getting terrible feedback there, so we are unable to.
Yeah,
but we have gotten that
she thinks that
yesterday's game wasn't
good.
Yes.
For me, I think yesterday's game was the best game that we played at the AFCON.
But I also criticize you because you can't say best when we did not win.
But
the two previous games we drew. So you know. Unless you say yesterday we had players who played, I want you to say we had players who played better football.
Yes, that's why I'm considering that it as the best game, because you can't compare yesterday's commitment and yesterday's zeal of the players to the game against Congo. The game against Congo, Patson Daka was isolated, never got service from the midfield or anything. Fashion Sakala was flat-footed, wasn't making any runs. We brought in Lamek Band a little bit late in the game. His contribution was not felt. The midfield was just flat. They couldn't transition the defense into attack. We knocked the ball around very well at the back, but when you come to the midfield and taking it to the
it goes what the previous caller, our first caller said. You may have the players, but if you don't know how to use them.
Yes, that's why I consider that even if we drew that game, our performance was not good. Even if we drew against Tanzania, our performance was the worst performance.
If anything, the game against Tanzania would have had more local players than the international, would have even been done better. Because these are our neighbors that we usually
and this is the league that Cletus Chanda torments, and we did not use him. We only gave him. This is the Cletus Chama torments. This is a league that Kennedy Msonda torments. This is a league that Lali Warrior had played in, and they were respected. They called him soft touch. He just played like so simple, like. So these are the players that we needed to use in this game, and that display also against Tanzania was the worst.
Yes, that was the worst, yes.
Yes. So now the game we played yesterday, if that is the game we played against Tanzania, we would have beaten Tanzania.
And again, that game against Morocco also only improved when they scored us.
Yes.
Then we showed that we can actually play football. And I was wondering, we can actually play football.
Even in the game against Tanzania, the performance slightly improved after the red card.
So I was like, we can actually play because we were able now to give Morocco pressure on the back there.
Yes, so what?
And then shots on targets also improved.
So what that tells you is that the players go into the field with a wrong mentality. So when they go into the field, the mentality is a little bit different from when they are playing now under pressure, and they know that no, we need to score to equalize, or we need to score to win this game. So the mentality that they go into the game with is different from what happens in the game. Now you see that no, we are under pressure, we really need to win this game. Then you pick up Why don't you start like that?
You have to start playing. You start playing. You play the game. You play your football.
Yes.
You've never seen Spain changing its football.
Yes.
It doesn't matter the opponent.
Yes.
We will be outplayed when it comes to passes and making sure that they have more possession of the ball. Whether you like it or not, Spain will always hold the ball. I'm giving an example. If, for example, Morocco scores you by 1-0, I can guarantee you that most of the times it ends like that.
They know how to,
you understand,
to manage a game if they have a lead or if they are looking for a
yes.
draw. They really know how to
it's
manage
a system.
Yes.
It's about a system. So they know their football, they know their tactic, they know their system. You understand? So even us, we should be playing with a pattern. You know, we don't have like what pattern did we use against DRC? I don't understand it. I don't understand the pattern we use against the Tanzania. What more about Morocco? It was also a different ball altogether. So I think we need to be known. This is Zambia. This is how Zambia plays. If I recall what Mwene was talking about, pertaining to his analysis, he said, we did not play like the Zambia we are.
I don't know
this is Zambia that is playing. You understand those two games, eh?
Yeah.
So even like you are saying, he equally agreed with you. Like he said that after the break, we played a little bit like Zambia. You understand? We played a little bit like Zambia. So we should always play like Zambia. We shouldn't be guessing, because we should be deliberate in our approach in what we want to achieve. I think that way it helps us, you know. So I think those intensive training, camping, whatever, they should be about preparing mentally about what about if we are confronted with such a team? What do they do? Okay, historically we have not had the success with North Africans, because I want to tell you that most Africans have presented nightmares to us. I was young when I was watching Osan. I still have memories about how it tormented us. Osan. Touch number 9, because
the Egyptian.
The Egyptian.
You see, I think that now.
And again, I still find it difficult to understand that most of the groups we are in, say that we have Algeria, sometimes we have Tunisia.
So those are the statistics of yesterday's game. Zambia had 11 shots on 11 shots generally, and 2 on target. Possession was 41%, 59. Morocco also passes. Zambia put together 362 passes. Morocco put together 494 passes. Pass accuracy, Zambia was at 82%, not bad. Morocco was at 88%, not bad really for Zambia as regards accuracy of passes. Fouls, Zambia committed 9 fouls as against Morocco's 17 fouls, and then yellow cards, there was 1 for Morocco. Zambia did not get any yellow cards, there were no red cards in the game. And you see, I think that the statistics even to me have really improved. Against Congo, how many shots did we have? And how many did Congo have? Tanzania also beat us on ball position and various other aspects of the statistics of that particular game. So the game against Morocco, we saw a slight improvement, even if we lost that particular game. We have a caller on the line. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. Okay.
Continue trying that very number, and remember that when you call, ensure that your TV set is off, or you reduce the volume completely, or rather move away. Go to the bedroom as you make the call, so that you leave your other colleagues listening to you if you want people to hear.
You can't talk and listen to yourself. Well, the feedback we get is terrible.
Sure.
But let's have a look at how the round of 16 now looks like.
The round of 16 looks very interesting. We had lucky teams that went through as best losers, and the luckiest was Ivory Coast. The luckiest of them all was Ivory Coast. They prayed for Zambia to lose that game, and all we needed was a draw. So on that score, Ivory Coast is one of the teams that has qualified and will go to the last three. Namibia also were the best losers in that particular group, which had South Africa, Mali and Tunisia. Namibia, South Africa and Mali have qualified. Tunisia is out of that particular group. Namibia being the best loser of that particular group, and also the Egyptians have made it to the next round. These are some of the big teams that have made it to the next round. The Egyptians have made it to the next round. Senegal are unstoppable. They are in an uncompromising mode. They won all their games. And this is the only team.
They don't take chances.
Yes.
Like that. We don't want calculators.
Yes.
They don't want to have headaches.
They don't know what calculators are. And you know, Senegalese football has been transformed in the last 5-6 years because of the system that they had put in place to start from the grassroots. And this also worked for Ghana in 2005-6, somewhere there. They started with the youngsters and went with them through and through. But in 2006, I'll tell you one thing. Experience showed that experience is better than these excited youngsters. When Ghana came in with excited young talent, exciting young talent, the Asamoah Gyan's, the Dede Ayewos of this world, the Solomon Taris of this world, the Stephen Appiahs, they couldn't manage to go past the French, who had actually called people from retirement. Zidane had retired, they called him back to the national team to come and assist the national team. Lilian Thuram had retired, they called him back to come and assist the national team. Patrick Vieira was contemplating retiring, they called him back, and that experience was they went up to the final.
So now, these are the rounds of 16 course.
Yes.
We start with the games. We have games on Saturday.
Sure.
And we are going to have Angola will be playing against Namibia. This is a Southern African derby.
Southern African derby. I put my money on Angola because they I think they've showed some aggression in front, and their game is a compact game, and they look more hungry than what we saw with Namibia. But we saw some great football with Namibia in the game against Tunisia. The first game they won, they were fantastic.
A final like match again will be played on the same day. That is Nigeria up against Cameroon.
Both teams have not impressed in the first round for me. I think Nigeria struggled. Also Cameroon needed last minute goals to qualify to the next round. So this is a cracker of a game because both teams will be wanting to prove.
I'm sure they'll be proved.
That they want to prove that no, it is just we are the giants in this particular game. Samuel Eto'o has to prove that he is the right man for the FA in Cameroon, so as Song would want to prove that he's the right man for the job.
So what are you implying in our Kamanga?
He is the right man for the job. He has proved that he is the right man for the job. I don't know.
I pay attention.
No. Listen, I said I brought in that issue. Yes, I brought in that issue because there were questions that were being raised against Eto'o, and you remember that Eto'o went to the team and said, "You guys, do you know what it means to wear that green jersey? You guys, this is Cameroon. Play like the indomitable lions of Cameroon." So also the team would look into impress.
We also needed someone to say, "This is Chiporo Poro. Play."
I said it 3 days ago. I said we need to take the 2012 team members to go in the dressing room of this team and tell them what it. They did not just look like they looked like they were playing Coca-Cola schools national team at one point. They looked like they were playing Coca-Cola schools. I remember those days when we were playing those tournaments.
Yes.
I don't know where that particular tournament is now. Yeah.
So we also have Equatorial Guinea. That's for Sunday, 28th for Germany. We have Equatorial Guinea up against Guinea.
Equatorial Guinea will carry the day.
Okay.
They proved that they're a strong side to reckon with. They sit back you attack them or you like. They showed this against Ivory Coast. You attack them or you like, but when they attack you, they will finish.
What we thought to do.
Yes.
Egypt up against Congo DR. It's
a tough game, this one, because Egypt, I think, they looked different without Mo Salah, and Mo Salah is injury. They're actually saying he should be traveling to England for assessment of that particular injury, and Egypt didn't look like Egypt without him.
Monday we have Cape Verde versus Mauritania.
Cape Verde is on another level.
Yeah.
Mauritania have played good football, but they don't. Their football cannot beat Cape Verde. I know that this is an AFCON of upsets, but this time around, I think all the teams know that there's no chance. If you lose this game, you're out. So this is a knockout stage. Mauritania cannot handle Cape Verde.
Indeed, that's cause there. We hope all this comes to pass. We have also,
no, you can write that down.
Yeah,
write the names of the teams that are going.
I'm taking notes.
The Nigeria Cameroon one. Nigerians also has players have to prove. They were Zambo Anguissa came to the game. The last game, Cameroon, he played like a Zambo Anguissa we watched at Napoli. Osimhen has to prove why he's highly related in
he has scored in the tournament.
He has not yet proved Osimhen as the Osimhen that we watch in the UEFA Champions League and in the Italian League.
He doesn't have the wingers that supply the ball.
Whatever it is, he has to show that he is Osimhen.
Indeed.
That is a tough one, but I think I give it to Nigeria.
Then we have Senegal up against Ivory Coast. Lucky guys.
This is another huge game because the Ivorians now, I think, are aware, following what happened when they almost were booted out. I think now it has dawned on them that they are representing a country that is hosting the tournament, and they can't afford to be losing like that. So I think it will be a cracker of a game, but still Senegal is more. This tournament is about who is more hungry to win the tournament.
I think Senegal is more hungry.
Yes.
I see Cape Verde or Senegal heading all the way. Mali up against Burkina Faso Tuesday.
This one is a strong game also, but this is where I am not sure of who is going to take it, because Burkina Faso have showed some discipline, tactical discipline in the game, and also Mali. Maybe Bertrand Traore will be a little bit more convincing in that particular game. They might win it.
Our Kosafa relatives, South Africa, will be up against Morocco. Let them redeem us. Can they manage?
I doubt. South Africa has played good football. They played good football against Namibia, but they scored quite a number of goals. But they don't have a team that can stop the wrath of Buffon, the wrath of Ziyech, the wrath of, and you know the disadvantage is that particular wing has Hakimi and Ziyech. Now Ziyech, now football has changed. You put a left-footed player on the right wing, so that when they get the ball, they begin to cut inside and give an opportunity to the right back to push up. And now the problem is that Hakimi is so skillful and Hakimi is so fast and Ziyech is so skillful. So Hakimi will get the ball, Ziyech will get the ball and try to start getting inside. If he gets an opportunity, he will punish you. And if he fails to get an opportunity, just push it in the line. Hakimi is very quick to come and make a cross. They will have to be very cautious of that.
Indeed, Akozi. Unfortunately, this is where we have to call it a day.
So, Morocco, Nigeria, Equatorial Guinea, Cape Verde, Burkina Faso. And these are the teams that I think that I'm going through for now.
We'll wait and see if your predictions will come accurate. Unfortunately, this is where we have to call it today. We have to thank you, our dear viewers, who did manage to call through to the program to give us your opinion pertaining to the performance of Zambia on the way forward. And we do value your contribution. Those of you who sent us those messages on our Facebook page, would like to thank you and for finding time to be to follow the Camnet TV Breakfast Show proceedings. And we will be back as of tomorrow with business for breakfast with Athias Kaptura, and we hope that you always keep it Camnet TV. Remember, like we always say, Camnet TV is not just another channel. This has been Patrick Soko and my colleague Magogwa Kozi. Until we meet again, always remember to always stay locked to Camnet.